What's up? Welcome back. In this series, you're learning how to build out a newsletter platform. We are working with Stripe Connect and creating a way for authors to monetize the newsletters that they're sending out to their audience. So we've got a flow now where you can subscribe to a newsletter. So you can view the newsletter and click on subscribe. That'll walk you through a payment flow. But we didn't finish wiring up the end of that, which is listening for billing related webhooks. So we want to listen for a couple of different webhook event types that are related to that subscription going through. And based on those events, we're going to update the underlying representation of someone being subscribed and a paying member of a newsletter. So the first thing we want to do is open up our event job code here, where we're handling any webhook events that are coming from Stripe. So right now, our handle Stripe event is just handling the account.updated for Connect onboarding, so that when our authors are onboarding to receive payment, they are correctly onboarded. We also need to handle the customer.subscription.created event and the customer.subscription.updated event, and finally the customer subscription deleted event. And this is when someone cancels. This is when they might upgrade or downgrade. And this is when the subscription is first created. And we might also want to handle yet another called checkout session.completed. Now the checkout session completed event, this fires when someone finishes the payment flow when we're using checkout. Now in this case, our event object is going to be the checkout session. So we're going to say checkout session is event.data.object. Now this checkout session has an ID that we stored on the membership. So if we look at the membership model here, it's kind of tricky to see there. If we go to the schema, you'll see under memberships that we have the Stripe checkout session ID. So we're storing that Stripe checkout session ID in the database, and we want to go handle that completed event. So here we're going to say handle checkout session completed for the checkout session. And the first thing we're going to do is we want to look up the membership. So we're going to find the membership, which is going to be membership.find by that checkout session ID. And then we want to say membership.update. The Stripe subscription ID is going to be the checkout session's subscription. We also want to set the status to the checkout. Let's see, actually, so I think we actually need to fetch the subscription. So we're going to say Stripe subscription.retrieve checkout session.subscription. And here we're going to pass in the subscription.status. So again, if we look back at the schema for memberships, we have this status field here that is defaulted to pending. We want to keep track of the subscription ID. That's going to give us this ID here. And finally, the checkout session ID was set before we redirected. So at this point, we should have found the membership and then re-retrieved the subscription through the API so that we know what the status is. And then we are updating the database, our internal database representation, to make sure that we have the Stripe subscription ID set and its status. We can use this status later on the membership to know when a reader is authorized to receive newsletter issues or to view and read newsletter issues that are back issues. Okay, so if we jump over to our Rails console here, we have several different events. If we look at the last event, this is an invoice.paid type. So we actually want, let's see, what was the ID here? The ID was 36, so event.find 35. We're going to kind of just search around for the correct, so that was payment intent created, for the correct event ID that has checkout session completed. 33, 32, 31, 30. There are lots of different events that are firing when someone signs up for a subscription. Invoice.created 27. Okay, here we go. Checkout session completed. So this is the event type that we care about. And this is the one that we want to run again. So event 27. Okay. So we want to say event job.perform now for that event. And what we're hoping is that the membership related to this subscription is updated with the subscription ID. So we can say membership.last, and it has the checkout session ID, but it does not have the Stripe subscription ID. And it looks like undefined local variable or method membership in the event job. So let's see, where did we find, oh, this is misspelled. Okay, so let's run this again. Okay, and then we want to grab the last membership. And okay, so let's see, processing errors, undefined. Oh, you know what? We need to reload since we changed some code there. Okay, membership.last. All right, look at that. Now we have the ID of the Stripe subscription and we have its status. Nice. Okay, that's fantastic. And we know which newsletter this is for. We know which reader this is for. We have their subscription ID, and we know that the subscription is active. We also have the ID of the checkout session in case we need to go back to the original session where this was created from. And we are off to the races. This is looking really good, really promising. Okay, the others that we need to include are anytime a subscription is updated or deleted, we actually want to do the same thing. So here we can add a comma, and we're not going to implement subscription created because we're already sort of handling that here with the checkout session completed event instead. So here what we're going to do is say handle subscription updated event. Handle the subscription updated event, and we are going to find the membership by the subscription ID and then update its status. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want. All right. And I'm almost wondering if the status, if subscription.status is canceled, then I think we might want to just delete the membership totally. So let's look and see here. Check out, no, we want to find subscriptions, the subscription object, and its status will be one of, I can never remember if it's one or two L's. I know I'm horrible. Okay, so if the status is canceled, then we want to membership.destroy. And yeah, hopefully we'll see if that works. Okay. The other thing we want to do is, well, I guess now we're in a place where we should be able to subscribe and go through the entire flow. But one thing that comes to mind is we've already subscribed to my newsletter too, but we still see the subscribe button. So what we want to do instead is go to the newsletter show, and we only want to show this form if current user.subscribed newsletters.include at newsletter. So you were subscribed. So if they're subscribed, we'll show that you're subscribed. Otherwise, we will show the form. And this concept of a subscribed newsletter doesn't exist yet on the user model. So we'll go to the user model, and we want to say something like has many subscribed newsletters through memberships, and the source on the memberships model is newsletter. So let's see if this works. Okay, so my newsletter too, you're subscribed. Fantastic. So now what we need to do is either figure out a way to cancel this. So we could enable the customer to just cancel the subscription directly through here, or we could require that they use the customer portal and set up billing. So there's two different approaches there that we could take. I think the easiest would probably be to use the customer portal. So let's go integrate that next. So this billing menu item right now is just using the pound sign. It's not doing anything yet. So what we want to do is make a new controller called something like /billing or something like that, that will redirect the authenticated user to the customer portal. So let's create a new controller, Rails G controller, billings. It has to be plural for some reason. And then we go to routes. And then here we want to add a singular resource billing. And then in the billings controller, we'll add a show route for redirect to the Stripe customer portal. We'll let GitHub Copilot chew on that for a sec. Before action, we want to authenticate the user. And then here we want to redirect to, so we're going to say customer portal is billing portal session create. That's fantastic. The customer is the current user with their Stripe customer ID. And that should be it. Redirect there, allow other hosts is true. All right, so then we can go edit our menu. So in previous episodes, we were editing it directly in application HTML ERB, but I kind of pulled a lot of this out and made it a little bit easier to manage in a helper method called menu items in application helper. So when we get to the billing path, we want to call the billing path, which will redirect us to customer portal. So if we click on billing, this failed. You can't create a customer portal session in test mode until you save your customer portal settings in test mode at this URL. Okay, so we'll copy the URL, paste it. The customer portal is this hosted surface. It looks just like this, where users can manage their billing. So we should be able to just say save changes here, come back, refresh this page, and boom, we are redirected here. Great. So we have two plans that we're subscribed to. One is this newsletter and one is this newsletter. So if we say cancel plan, we expect to receive a webhook notification from Stripe that tells us that the subscription was deleted. Okay, so we're going to say cancel plan for my newsletter too. And we can give a reason if we want. So I no longer need it. And we can say submit. Okay, so now this subscription is canceled. All right. Now, if we go back to our platform, we need if we want to be able to go back directly, we need a return URL on our customer portal session. So let's go back to the billings controller and we'll add a return URL here that brings us back to the dashboard. Yeah. So now we can go to localhost 3000 / newsletters, / dashboard. And then we want to view my newsletter too. And it still shows that you're subscribed. Okay, so let's actually say membership.destroy all, customer.destroy all, because we want to, we need to create a new Stripe customer with new subscriptions in the whole thing so that we can test this correctly. So we're going to subscribe to test 323. All right, we're redirected to Stripe checkout. We go through this flow. And now we see you're subscribed. That's great. Now what we want to do is click on billing and we should see one subscription here. And we see one subscription. Okay, let's look at our customer portal settings too, because I wonder if, cancel at the end of the billing period. Right. Okay, so we need this to cancel immediately. We want it to cancel immediately. Otherwise, we have to wait till the end of the billing period, which we can do. We can test with test clocks, but for now, let's have it cancel immediately so we can test our logic for now. So let's say cancel the plan, cancel it, too expensive, submit. Okay, now we don't see the plan at all anymore. That's great. Now if we click on this to go back to our platform and we try to view this, now we see subscribe. Fantastic, because it deleted our membership. So that is good. So if we say membership.count, we should see 0 because it deleted it. Fantastic. Okay. So now we are handling webhooks for billing. We've got our billing portal integrated. And if the user wanted to, they could come in here and update their payment method, or they could make it default or whatever. And And if we wanted to, we could subscribe to a different newsletter. So all of that is working great. The piece that's missing is that we're not checking to see if someone is paying for a given newsletter to see the issues. And we're also not listing out like your newsletters that you're subscribed to here. So now that we have that subscribed newsletters association on the user model, we'll go back to our pages controller and the dashboard here, and we'll say current user.subscribed newsletters. And now we should see, okay, now we see your subscribed newsletters. And I think for newsletters, we should actually say where the ID is not in the list of subscribed newsletters. So we can have like, okay, here's the new ones and here's the ones that we're already subscribed to. So if we subscribe to this one and say subscribe, okay, nice. If we go back to the dashboard. All right, so what we're seeing right now is we have 2 newsletters that we've attempted to sign up for, but one of these memberships is not active. So if we look in the Rails console, we can see that, membership.all. So we have 2 memberships, one is active and one is pending. So what we want to do in this case is we want to add a new method to the users that just gives us the active subscribed newsletters. So we're going to jump over to the user model here. We're going to add a new method here called active subscribed newsletters. And it's going to say subscribed newsletters.where, and the status is actually on the memberships table. So this memberships table has a status, and we want to make sure that we are filtering down the subscribed newsletters where the associated table's status is set to active. So now if we refresh the page, we only see testing again, which if we were to open up the customer portal, testing again is the only one that we are subscribed to. So if we go back here, while we technically have started a membership for My Newsletter 2, and we see you're subscribed, it's actually not subscribed. And so we have a couple options. One would be to, if we get to this page and we find a pending membership, that we just destroy it. But for now, we're just going to leave that again as is. So we are correctly showing which newsletters we are subscribed to. Now let's work on listing out the issues for only those subscribed newsletters. So again, back in our pages controller, where we're listing out issues here we can say something like at subscribed, or like we want to say issue.where the newsletter is in subscribed newsletters. And we want to have that ordered nicely. And so if we refresh, we do see test because we are subscribed. Well, let's see. So this test issue is part of testing again. Okay, so if let's say, error. We have an error on this new page, strf time for nil class. Right, okay. So in our issues controller, in our new route, we want to say published at is time.now. Okay. The newsletter, let's say that we want to add a new issue to My Newsletter 2. So this is going to be a paid private newsletter. Okay, we're going to add some content, create the issue. So now we have 2 issues. We should probably show like which newsletter it's part of too. So let's go back to our issue index here. And as we're iterating over these, we can also add like the issue.newsletter.title. By doing this, we create an n+1 query that we'll have to come back and clean up later. So let's also call this the subject. And this one is going to be the newsletter. So if we refresh the page, okay. So now we have the subject and we have which newsletter it's for. To avoid this n+1 query, we need to go to our issues controller. And instead of just fetching the issues, we want to say dot includes newsletter. Okay. And now if we refresh, then we should have one less query happening in the background. So now we should be getting select star from newsletters where the ID is in either of those IDs. Cool. Okay. So now we have a list of our issues. This paid private newsletter is part of a newsletter that we should not have access to. So if we look at our dashboard, cool. Our list of issues does not include that because we are not subscribed to my newsletter too. That is pretty cool. So if we go back to issues and we create another issue, so this one we should see. All right, create. This one we should see because it's part of the testing again newsletter that we are subscribed to. We go back to the dashboard. This one we should see. It does show at the top. That's cool. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.